Hey everybody, this is John from Bash, and today I am bringing you another Malicious Compliance Reddit video. If you are new to the channel, then subscribe, and ring that notifications bell so you don't miss out on the fun. In our first story, when your boss tells you to try not to think, sometimes you just need to agree and watch everything fall apart. Let's jump right in. I signed up for a startup job that said they needed my skills earlier this year. During the interview, they advertised themselves as experienced businessmen trying something new, needing someone with my skills because they had no one with that kind of experience, open to changing as the market did. I said I wanted to learn more about some of the tangentially related aspects of my field to grow, and they said it would be a good fit. So I took the job for 2 quarters of the year with a set exit point. A very important note, my pay was coming from a third party with interest in both the startup and development of people from my city, so while I was their employee, I was pretty explicitly there for the learning experience instead of the pay. This company was proposing a tech solution for restaurants. The pandemic hit, and I started about 2 weeks later, right as the racial tensions in the US reached their peak. I meet with my new boss, excited to get started, and they let me know they made a last-minute hire of a friend, part-time, who's going to be my supervisor. I was paid for full-time hours for a pretty demanding, constantly shifting environment, but my direct supervisor was only going to be working 15 hours per week. The person who hired me, the founder, says that he'll be largely unavailable to me because of how busy he'll be, and I should refer to the new supervisor instead. So there goes that learning environment I signed up for. Strike one. I meet with my new supervisor, and before literally anything else comes out of his mouth, I know things are pretty hard for you people right now, so just know that I understand if your work is lower quality than it would usually be. Ah, yes, judging me by the color of my skin before you know literally anything else about me. Strike number 2. Next meeting with supervisor and boss, and they want to donate to Black Lives Matter. OP, can you write a report on what charities we should donate to? We think you'd know best. This has literally nothing to do with my job description, and isn't even tangentially related to our business. They're clearly only asking me because I was the only person of color at the company at that point. I asked if we had any black business owner partners, and they said no. I told them, this is going to come off as tone deaf, and we shouldn't do it. It has nothing to do with our product, our partners are literally all white men, and we're offering less than $500 in donations. It'd be better to try and invite some black business owners and focus on community development. They tell me to do it anyways, and that it will be the only work for me during my first 2 weeks. Then, once I've written the report, a white accountant on the team says, this will come off as tone deaf, and I don't think we should do it. So we don't. Strike 3, you're out. But I'm a professional, so I covered my bases before giving up. I speak with the program organizing third party, and they tell me they can't switch my company. They give me some tips for fitting in better, and I spend a few weeks doing literally anything they ask as well as I can. I get several weeks worth of work done in very little time, even doing side projects to try and show how capable I am at my job. I speak directly with my supervisor, comparing my current workload with previous jobs and stating explicitly that I feel I could be better utilized if they'd give me a chance. Showing my work to my sponsor, they start giving me side projects because they're impressed. But every time I turn in a project to the tech restaurant place, one of the co-founders, who like me worked his way up in the world, tells me how fantastic it is, that it meets every standard he has, and he's excited to show it to his partner. Once the boss sees it, he nitpicks it apart, saying it's not what he wanted. There were times he edited me in circles, having me change A to B, then B to C, then C to A, and asking why I didn't just do A in the first place. I try to explain why doing what he asks is against best practice or hurts our customers in 1,000 different ways. Based on our board members' feedback when I was at the meetings, everyone but him is on the same page. But if it's not his idea, he hates it. And if it's from young black me, then he especially hates it. Finally, this tech restaurant business sits me down after the first quarter for a performance review. Unlike normal businesses, they didn't ask for any feedback for them. They just wanted to tell me that I was too opinionated, trying too hard, that I should try not to think so much about the work. So I do. I stop doing extra projects for them and start taking up more well-paid side gigs, like really well-paid. $50 an hour with performance bonuses is normal for my position, and this startup is throwing that away. Eventually, they have me write a single blog post every week instead of doing my job. I'm excluded from pretty much any meeting that wasn't contractually required. Their sales plummet as I stop pushing back against bad business practices, to the point that I started graphing it in an Excel spreadsheet. They went from $10,000 a month to $200 a week, with several weeks with no sales. I'm getting forwarded customer complaints by the good founder, and my response is, "Oh man, yeah, that seems like a problem. I could fix it, but you'll need to get permission from the direct supervisor." The direct supervisor or friend of the bad boss turns out to have way less time available than even the 15 hours and is almost never responding. When I tell him the good founder wants me to work on a project, he says that he doesn't think I can handle it and shouldn't worry about it, so I don't. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Second quarter over and I remind the bad founder that I was leaving. I put together a folder of all of the things they'd need from me, as well as detailed instructions on how to move over permissions from my account. Instead of doing that, they just leave everything as is. Now 2020 is over. I've made good money this last quarter working for the sponsor company and other contracts. My new jobs really appreciate all that I'm doing for them, and some of them even sent me Christmas presents. I still get phone notifications about the startup's weekly sales because they never turn them off, and it's gone down to 2 orders or less a week. What's especially funny to me is that the account sending me the notification is licensed at a pretty penny, so they're incompetent enough that they're paying extra money to update me every week. A couple grand a year. Friend of a friend told me their potential investors pulled out after I left, since the bad boss thought he could do it all on his own. Several board members have jumped ship. There were only the 2 co-founders left once I headed out at the end of the second quarter. Even my old supervisor left, and their website says that's still the case. They've stopped offering live support or refunds and started getting some pretty poor reviews from clients. I'd be surprised if they last. If they do, I'm sure they'll get a nice Twitter welcome in a few years once they try to hire another person of color and they treat them with the racism they doled out to me. In story 2, if your grandma is petty and has a warped sense of humor, you should probably not ask for cold hard cash for your birthday. I'm prefacing this with the information that 1. My grandma has too much money. 2. My grandma has too much time. 3. My grandma has too big of a freezer. And 4. My grandma is petty as flip. Here's the story. I have a cousin who's always wanted all sorts of interesting things for his birthday. Grandma loved that. Absolutely flipping adored it. She gave me a blow-in-the-butt turtle ocarina once, and I love it. That should explain her gifting for you. Now, as he grew up, he was less and less inclined to entertain Grandma's whimsical ideas and started requesting more mainstream presents. Grandma hated that and still found ways to make them whimsical. You want a guitar? Okay, but it'll have hippie wood-burning patterns on it. You want bed sheets? Sure thing, but they'll have tie-dye prints all over and be made of silk. If it was possible to make a gift whimsical, Grandma would do it. We all knew this and started getting awfully specific in what we requested until one year he threw his hands up and said, "I don't know, just give me cold hard cash." Bad move, very bad move. Grandma has chest freezers, the kind that are 4 feet deep, 4 feet across, and 12 feet long. Grandma also lives on a little foresty cottage plot, which means Grandma has access to all sorts of gardening tools and tinkers. So Grandma, being Grandma, found a big bucket, a flip ton of little plastic seed bags, and got to work. Cousin, of course, was very excited to finally get a normal gift and was grinning at Grandma, thinking that he finally won the game. That is, until Grandma brought out a 2-foot by 2-foot by 2-foot squared ice cube full of cash. I'm editing this to add measurements might be off. She used some sort of gardening bucket, and I was very young when it happened. This story has been retold by Grandma so many times that I don't think she remembers the exact measurements either. It wasn't frozen together either, oh no. Grandma had gotten creative and layered the flipping ice gradually, freezing the cash solidly through the cube. This thing was icy white and oozing when Grandma brought it into the room, and Grandma proudly announced that since he wanted cold hard cash, she gave him exactly that. This mad woman froze the equivalent of $1,000 in the ice in mixed money. There were tiny coins and bigger coins and bills in little seed bags near the center. It took the block about a week to melt because my cousin's birthday is in January, and his mother refused to let it melt in the house for fear of water damage, so it was sat in their garden slowly melting. Moral of the story: don't flip with Grandma and her whimsical presents. This is John from /bash. Please hit that like button to help with the mighty YouTube algorithm, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.